Okay, so how many people here have gotten the ever popular 3% merit increase? Raise your hands. Super exciting, right? Pretty vanilla, right? So we work for these companies, I bet yours does, that says, hey, we're a pay-for-performance culture. And you think, great, I've joined this company, I'm gonna work really hard, they're gonna pay me well. And then you get a 3% increase. What's that all about? So we're gonna talk about Peter and Paul tonight. And Peter and Paul are two employees at your company and they work really hard. Peter is a solid performer. He's the guy that you know you can rely on. He comes to work, he does his job, he doesn't complain. Anytime you need him to do something, he's right there. And Paul's just as good, except, well, let's be honest, Paul's a little better. He's your top performer. But both of them come in, they're solid, they contribute, they think, hey, I'm gonna work hard, my salary's gonna increase. Who doesn't wanna make more money? Let's be honest. And so they come in, they give their all, and then and they expect to be excited, right? And so you get happy people when you pay them correctly and you pay them fairly. 3% doesn't do that. But then we ruin the whole process because we give them the ever famous performance review. And we totally screw up all of this. So we do a performance review because why? Well, because as HR, we tell them, hey, you have to go do a performance review. You need to give feedback. And the only way you're gonna get feedback is if you write it down once a year. I'm not gonna get into the whole motion of, the change that's going on, but nobody's excited about that. Are you? I mean, I'm not excited as a manager to do it. I'm not excited as an employee usually to get it. And as HR, I hate the process. And I have to administer it. And most times people are like, I remember what happened the last 3 months of the year, maybe. So you're really not getting an annual review, you're getting something about the last couple of months and you come in and you hurry up and you get it. And so you get that feedback. And then your manager has to give you a rating. Meets expectations, exceeds expectations, outstanding. All of that is gonna factor into what your merit review is gonna be later on. So you're excited, you think, okay, I got a good review. But then from the HR perspective, the CFO or the CEO comes into your office and says, hey, so what do those survey data say about what merit increases are gonna be this year? And you go out and you pull out your Mercer and your Tower Watson survey and you say, oh, it says 3%. And your CFO says, great, we're gonna budget at 3%. And then as HR, we give these great ratings, right? Well, if your person's outstanding, they should get 4 to 5%, and if they're a meets, they get 2 to 3. Now, how do you do that with a 3% merit budget? You end up robbing Peter to pay Paul. So Peter's a solid performer, but he's only gonna get 2.4% because you need some extra money to be able to recognize Paul because Paul's your top performer. Now, Paul gets the 4.5%. Paul's really happy because he's like, hey, the average increase was 2 to 3%. I got 4.5. I'm doing really good. This is good. So you've got one really happy person. And then you have to deliver the news to Peter. Peter, he's not so excited. He's like, really? 2.4%? You couldn't splurge that extra 0.6 to at least get me to 3? That's the cost of living increase. So what message have you sent Peter? He's sitting there wondering, well, it's performance review time, I got an average increase, maybe I need to start looking elsewhere. Find somebody else who's gonna show me the money and make me feel really great about what I'm doing and what I'm contributing in this organization. But what if you budgeted at 5%? What would that look like? Well, if you're gonna budget at 5%, you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul anymore. You've got enough money in your budget to give Peter a decent increase and really recognize Paul as the pay-for-performance culture that you claim that you really are. And when you do that, everybody's happy because now you've been able to actually recognize their contributions. You've taken money off the table as an issue for performance. And that's really where we want to focus because we all know that after raises, people are deciding whether or not they're going to start looking to leave. And we tend to be penny wise and pound foolish, and because we do that, we generate turnover. So now we've got to go out and spend 3 to 5 times Peter's salary to try to replace him in the organization. And that's silly, because now we are creating more of an expense, and your CFO is sitting here complaining because productivity has gone down, and you're probably hiring Peter's replacement at 5 or 7% more than what you could have gave him if you gave him a decent raise and kept that talent in your organization. So we have to think differently. I want you to go back to your organizations. I want you to talk to your CEOs and your CFOs and make them understand this. because it's silly that we are driving people out of our organization with a 3% merit budget. Because when you pay people correctly, you've got a company full of happy minions, and who doesn't want to be around that all day? Thank you.